name is Berhad bin Zaidi. My student ID is 2019-8001AC. Okay, I am a part of group C. Today we will present about banking regulation and management for RHB Berhad. Okay, firstly we're going to introduction. Okay, on August 24, 1994, RHB Berhad was incorporated as a public limited company in Malaysia under the name DCB Holding Berhad. Okay, on 16 June, it received present name as part of a 1994 reorganization plan. RHB Capital replaced DCB Berhad on the main board of Bursa Malaysia Security Berhad, now known as the main market, on 29 December 1994. Okay, a multinational regional financial service provider, RHB Banking Group is committed to offering full solution to customer through different segment offering and ecosystem that support simple, quick, and seamless customer experience, support by a unified and motivates workforce and solid stakeholder relationship. Okay. RHB, one of the leading bank in Malaysia with a sizable presence in Malaysia in ASEAN, enjoys significant market leadership in Malaysia across target product and area. Over 14,000 people are employed by RHB throughout 9 nations in the ASEAN region. Okay, the RHB Banking Group is a vertically integrated financial service corporate based in Malaysia. The 5 business pillars that make up the group main activity are group community banking, group wholesale banking, group syariah business, group international business, and group insurance. Okay, RHB overseas business include commercial banking activity in Singapore, Thailand, Brunei, Cambodia, and Laos. In June 2014, RHB gave up trying to acquire a 40% stake in PT Bank Mastika Drama after failing to receive clearance for Indonesia regulators. In Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Brunei, Cambodia, and Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam, RHB now operates more than 330 outlets. The business earned $6 billion in net profit in fiscal year 2016. Okay, next on this slide we can see about banking regulation and management of RHB, penyata kedudukan kewangan RHB on 31 December 2020. On this we can see about asset and all about liability and equity of RHB Bank on 31 December 2020. Okay, next we're going to 2.0 liquidity management. RHB Berhad has established a liquidity incident management products to manage any potential adverse liquidity incidents. Okay, and which can be implemented on a time basically so that appropriate action can be taken to mitigate against any unexpected market development. The liquidity management process involves established liquidity management policy and limits, regular monitoring against liquidity risk limits, regular stress testing, and establishing contingency funding plans. This process are subject to regular review to ensure that they remain relevant in the context of prevailing market condition. Some of the key liquidity risk management tools are top depositor measure, funding source measure, maturity profile of funding source and contingency funding lines. RHB Bank Berhad has adopted the BNM's liquidity standard on LCR to ensure maintenance of educate staff of uncovered high quality liquid asset to survive the liquidity needs for 30 calendar day under liquidity stress condition. RHB Bank Berhad also adopt the NSFR to ensure maintenance of several stable funding source over a time horizon of up to 1 year. While BNN has relaxed the maximum requirement of LCR to below 100,000 and NSFR at 13%. The LCR and NSFR at RHB Banking Group level have been maintained at above 100%. The Group Liquidity Incident Management established guidelines for managing liquidity crises, identify early warning signs of possible liquidity event and the need for heightened liquidity risk monitoring and reduce liquidity risk exposed. In addition, it also identifies the individual responsible for formulating and executing the group response to a liquidity event. The group liquidity incident management products also cover the entire group operation, including for risk branch operation.
Asset and liability management. Asset and liability management is a practice used by RHB Bank Berhad to mitigate financial risk resulting from a mismatch of asset and liability. The asset and liability management strategies employ a combination of risk management and financing planning. It is used by the bank to manage long-term risks that can arise due to changing circumstances. The practice to asset and liability management can include many factors such as strategic allocation of asset, risk mitigation, and adjustment of regulatory and capital frameworks by successfully matching assets against liabilities. Financial institutions are left with a surplus that can be managed to maximize their investment return and increase profitability. Some of the common risks addressed by asset and liability management are interest rate risk and liquidity risk. To maximize the profit, RHB Bank Berhad seek the highest return possible on loan and securities, reduce risk and make adequate provision for liquidity by holding liquid assets. There are areas of consideration for managing asset and liability used by the bank. First one is profitability. It is to find borrowers who will pay high interest rates and unlikely to default on their loans. Risk, to purchase securities with high return, low risk, and attempt to lower the risk by diversifying. Third one is regulatory requirement, to manage the liquidity of its assets so that it can satisfy the reserve requirement without bearing huge costs. Next, flexibility. Bank explores ways in which the liabilities on their balance sheet could provide them with reserve and liquidity. Therefore, this will lead to an expansion of overnight loan market such as the federal fund market and the development of new financial instruments, such as NCDs, which enable the banks to acquire funds quickly.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Faiz Fakrudin. For my part is I want to present about a financial statement analysis. So that you can see is profitability ratios that for the return of on asset that is 0.89 for 2019 and then 2020 0.92%. Okay, for the second one is a return of on equity that on 2019 at 7.95% and then 2020 that 8.26%. So the third one is interest spread that 2019 that 1.97% and then 2020 at 1.94%. For the last one is equity capital ratio that 2019 at 11.18%. So at 2020 11.14%. Okay, for the liquidity ratio have to investment maturing in less 1 year and then loans of total assets. So for the third one is capital adequacy. Adequacy of the capital is capital ratio on 2019 at 11.18% and then 2020 11.14%. Okay, for the asset quality that credit loss provision or total assets on 2019 at 0.14%. For 2020 is 0.41%. Okay, for the loan to deposit, gross loan of total deposits 2019 71.21% and then 2020 68.1.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Azim bin Muhammad Asri. Today I will talk about the profitability ratio. For the first one is return on equity. Return on equity evaluate a company profitability by disclosing how much profit it make with the money invested by shareholder. According to the calculation of RHB Bank, it have a better return on equity of 8.26% on 2020, but just 7.95% on 2019. Such a profitability ratio assess a bank financial performance and efficiency. This indicate that RHB Bank shareholder gain more over this period in 2019. Okay, for the second one is return on asset. According to the calculation above, RHB Bank return on asset in 2020 is 0.92%, which is greater than 0.899% return on asset in 2019. The strong return on asset in 2020 might be attributed to significant non-interest income. The return on asset for 2019 is poor because due to the insufficient non-interest income and low interest revenue from funds that are extra careful with fund or locked into fixed rate period to a market interest rate increase. Okay, for the third one is interest spread. The difference between the interest rate a bank pay depositor and the interest rate it receive on consumer loan is known as the net interest rate spread. The net interest rate spread is critical to the profitability of a bank. The net interest rate can be cost-fully compared to a profit margin. RHB Bank interest spread in year 2020 was 1.94%, while in 2019 the interest spread was 1.97%. It indicates that the interest spread only has 0.03% differences. The higher spread, the more profitable the financial situation. Okay, for the liquidity ratio, the first one is investment measuring in less than 1 year. A company investment that measure in less than a year in order to receive profit is known as a short-term investment. It has to do with the liquid asset of the company. The bank of RHB Bank get a constant result which mounted to 0% for both year 2019 and 2020. To summarize, this type of ratio has a strong link to the company liquid asset. The higher the ratio, the more the liquid the company asset are. Okay, the second one is loan to total asset. The loan to a total asset mean ratio indicate how much debt has been utilized to fund a company asset. The computation take into account all of the company debt, not simply its payable loan and bond, as well as all asset, including intangible. RHB Bank Berhad has a loan to a total asset ratio of 0.10% in 2020. Meanwhile, in year of 2019, RHB Bank Berhad has loan to total asset ratio of 0.45%. It means the greater the ratio, the greater degree of leverage, and as a result, the greater the risk in investing in that company. Okay, for the last one is purchase liability. Based on calculation above, RHB Bank in 2019 show a higher ratio than 2020. In purchase liability to total asset, the higher the ratio, the higher the degree of leverage, and the higher of the risk of investing in the company. It means by the asset financed by shareholder in 2019 is higher than asset financed by debt in 2020.
My name is Zuraina binti Mak Daud. I will continue the next topic, which is credit quality ratios. Credit quality ratios, the first one is equity capital ratios. The equity capital ratios has used less debt to pay its asset compare in 2020. This is because from the calculation ratio in 2019 is higher than compare ratio in 2020, which is 11.18% and 11.14%. RHB indicated how much of a company asset have been generated by issuing equity rather than by taking on debt. The second one is asset quality. Asset quality has divided by two, which is credit loss provision and loan to deposit. Credit loss provision has greater amount of principal that is not expected to be recovered from debtors in 2020 than in 2019, which is 0.41% and 0.14%. The second one is loan to deposit. RHB ratio in 2019 was 71.21%, while 68.91 in 2020. It means RHB has a high loan deposit ratio in 2019. The last one is conclusion. In conclusion, we can conclude calculate ROE in 2020 is strong, might be attribute non-interest income. For 2019 is poor due to inefficiency non-interest income. While ROE has a strong return in 2020 compared to 2019. Next, liquidity ratio. RHB has enough liquidity to manage cash flow. Last but not least, for asset quality, has credit loss pressure and to deposit ratio. RHB has an excellent and bad performance for 2 years of 2019 and 2020. That's all from our group. Thank you.